Okay, we can go ahead and begin.
At this time, I would like to call the Public Arts Commission meeting to order for Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. It's 5 p.m. Chair, that's me. We did it again. May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Travis.
Here.
Commissioner Mojica is absent. Commissioner Herrera.
Here.
Vice Chair Liebelt.
Here.
Liebelt.
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 Yep.
I won't do that again. Chair Rudolph.
Here. Public comment. Public comment is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on any item not appearing on the agenda. Please state your name and residence for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. Are there any requests to speak at this time?
I do not have any requests to speak.
Are there any items on the agenda that need to be pulled or continued to a future meeting?
Sorry, yes, Chair. The item on the funding request from the Wild Women is being requested to move to the December meeting. The person who was going to be here on behalf of that item was sick and was unable to attend tonight.
We are going to approve last meeting's minutes at the December meeting, so we move on to the agenda.
Okay.
The first item on the agenda tonight is a funding request from the Youth Training Orchestra's Mentors Chamber Music Series.
Good evening, Commissioners. So the item before you was presented to the Public Arts Commission by Mr. Nunzio Sisto. Mr. Sisto is here tonight. He's with the Youth Training Orchestra's organization. And he's made a funding request to the Public Arts Commission to sponsor a chamber music series. This series has been presented in the past at the Palm Springs Cultural Center under the name CV Philharmonic Society, which included the 3-day Modern Plus Piano Festival. And they're desiring to move this concert series to the Mary Pickford this year to provide an opportunity for the public to attend musical performances here in downtown Cathedral City. And the ultimate desire is to build a series of 12 concerts annually. The primary fundraising support for the series is through the sale of subscriptions. Subscribers pay monthly or annual subscriptions, which covers the ticket cost for one concert a month, plus some other bonus concerts throughout the series. Public ticket sales also contribute to covering the cost of the series. Mr. Sisto has been in communication with the Pickford, and they have been open to working with him on some discounted payments for the first few concerts to support the series growing. Youth Training Orchestra handles their own lighting and production for these events. And along with the concerts is a short slide presentation and educational lecture for each of the sessions. So the funding request is for $10,000, and that is to sponsor the first 5 concerts in the series. Mr. Sisto has indicated that the Youth Training Orchestra would charge a ticket price for the concerts, with prices ranging from $42, $35, or $30, depending on where the seating was at, and has offered to provide 10 to 20 free seats to the city if the Public Arts Commission could help develop a plan to get those seats filled, wanting to make sure that if there were free tickets available that they just didn't go unused. The dates have not been confirmed yet, but generally they're looking at the first Saturdays of the month at 1 p.m. with a target start time of January or February. And in your staff communications, I've provided you the section of the municipal code that talks about the qualifying activities for art education. And it's my recommendation that the commission, you can do actually one of 3 items. You can approve the funding request as stated and forward your recommendation to the City Council. You can propose a modified request to be recommended to the City Council. You could ask for additional information and for the item to be brought back for further discussion, or you could deny the funding request. Mr. Sisto is here, so he's here if you have any questions specifically about the proposal, and that's staff's presentation.
Mr. Sisto, if you could come to the podium, that would be great. And I don't know if you want to give us like an introduction to what you're doing, and then all of the commission, I'm sure, will have questions at that point.
First, I want to start with thank you.
So if you could please speak into the microphone since these are being televised.
Sure.
recorded.
First, I wanted to thank you. My previous request for getting a piano, I think, was met with a lot of support, and I want to thank you. We did end up getting a piano donated and a harpsichord. Both of those are in the Pickford lobby, and we're planning live piano to start Friday and a bunch of other performances. Quickly, I'm from Staten Island, New York. I was able to get out of Staten Island by going to the Juilliard Pre-College, and after that I became a Latin teacher. And so I learned from my family and kind of community the value of classical arts and education, and I made it my life's purpose. I have a master's degree. I was a teacher in the public school system, was a Latin and music teacher. Spent a little time on Wall Street right after the crash because there was a hiring freeze, and Latin teachers, as you could imagine, were not in hot demand, nor were bassoonists. So I spent some time at Morgan Stanley, and I thought, what if nonprofits didn't need to beg for money every year? What if nonprofits could be self-sustainable? And having grown up in 3 youth orchestras, that was always a plan of mine. So for the past 10 years, I've been working on making self-sustaining youth orchestras, which is what YTO is. We're a smaller youth orchestra based on the Broadway Pit, not a huge symphony. We play a little more modern music, and we're that nice crossover so that we can make it happen in small towns like Cathedral City, where you're not gonna have 20 violin players. We only need 2. So the way we fund ourselves is through our chamber music series. We were at the Cultural Center last year. A lot of people, the general consensus is there's not a market for it, but our opening concert was in August, and we had 90 people show up for a harpsichord player. So the market's there. We have some amazing musicians. The feedback we got is people enjoyed the series. They just wanted to see us bring more high-quality musicians. There's not too many local musicians, and I was hiring the same ones over and over again, because I do believe in economic development, but there's also a fine line. So I hire as many local musicians as I can, but we would like to start bringing in the Empress Trombone Quartet. Had a great performance. They're 4 professional women, low brass players with PhDs, which is very rare if you know the arts world, and they do an amazing concert. They also volunteered to go to Cathedral City High School for free to do a presentation since they're gonna be in the area. So I guess the point I kind of want to make is what I do with this funding is it pays itself forward. I hope you don't see me here again. I hope this is the only seed I need to ask from you. And then as the Chamber Series runs, the youth orchestra grows. We have a Roman play translated, 2,500 years old, that we're getting ready to go up and talking to Palm Springs Life about an Italian festival to present Epictetus. I have an original play called James and Sherlock that's going up. We have a Mexican play called El Gesticulador, written at the turn of the century about the Mexican Revolution. We're presenting it in Spanish with English super titles at the Pickford. Due to my research, I think we're the first production company, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for saying this, but I think we're the first ones presenting something in Spanish in the area, and it doesn't make sense why it's not happening. So this funding is not just for the Chamber Series, it's kind of giving birth to a little bit of a cultural center next door. And again, I just want you to know that's my goal with this is, I don't want you to see me again. If this will pay itself forward, then the ticket sales from everything should keep growing, and we can make Cathedral City a spot on the map for off-Broadway type stuff.
When you say you see it, the cultural center next door, you're talking about at the Mary Pickford.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're really focusing that on as a place, a venue that you want to use consistently. You did it for the piano, right? The harpsichord?
Yeah, we have a piano and a harpsichord in the lobby, and we're working on getting live music, but because they have 14 rooms, it just solves so many issues that you find around town because they have a 200-seat theater and a 77-seat theater range. So for all the different things we're doing, we could really find the right room. And, the biggest problem I had at the Cultural Center is there was only 2 usable rooms, and there were so many people that I was canceling productive concerts that was hurting subscriptions. And it was really no one's fault. That's what a community center should be. But here we have the room, and with the level that the CV rep has set, I think we can own the off-Broadway, the real off-Broadway. But we do have to bring some outside people in because there's a place for community theater, but there's also a place for low-end professional.
Yep. Also, like you said, so youth orchestra. So as students come to you, you don't go do classes in schools, but the students come to you, and where do they train, rehearse?
Saturday mornings, 9 to 11, we're at the Pickford.
Okay.
I believe in stratification. If you have a varsity league, you're gonna inspire more kids to play football, right? Because you want to get to the top team. Right now, there's no stratification in music. There's a lot of marching band, not much orchestra. So I try to provide a advanced program for 16 kids who really are very dedicated to music, because by giving those kids the opportunity to be here, their classmates start to see them. And we've already seen it in our second year. Kids, oh, you were in that thing. Now I have kids from the same school coming because the same student came back and their friends heard of it. The videos we're putting out, we're getting more and more hits online. Oh, I didn't know this existed. So I try to create, I mean, I'm not the Juilliard pre-college, but I try to recreate the experience I had there with ear training and music theory. And because we're a Broadway pit, I can take like famous pieces of piano music and reorchestrate it for the 16. So it's, you know, you're more familiar with a Beethoven sonata than a Schubert symphony. And so that's kind of what I do, is I bring the music to the kids, but at a high level.
Really smart. I love it. You're going to become the glee club of the Coachella Valley.
Soon,
That's
we
what
hope.
it sounds
Yeah.
like. And I would love that, actually.
So do you continue to have 16 solid, I take it they're high school age?
We do not. We have about 4 very solid players. There is, in my opinion, and everyone has a different opinion, music really was very hurt by COVID, and we're seeing the tail end of that. And if you don't have a standing youth orchestra, kids are not going to be drawn. They're going to go and want to play video games. Why wouldn't they? So I have a bit of an uphill battle, and what I'm hoping is by bringing these people here, for those kids who are interested, we can give them tickets and they can come see a string quartet, and that may be the moment that they go, okay, well, this is why I'm going to show up every Saturday and practice. Now, because we're 16 musicians, I could play any piece of music the kids want. That's a really big draw. We also do an original ballet every year, because if you string enough of the pieces together and you have a story, I go to one of the dance schools and go, there's your music, there's the story. Can you put something? They go, sure. We're doing the Pied Piper now. Did it at the Cultural Center. COVID took it down, because it was before we started. All my rats got COVID. But you know, something like that, we could do that at the amphitheater, and we could do it here. So in the next year or so, I hope to get there. But right now I have a pianist who's playing on the chamber series because he's so good. He's better than many of the professionals I could find. And then I have some intermediate string players they're really holding their own. But I think we need to get a little bit more of a party started around the arts. You don't ever see newspaper articles about a flute player who achieved something or a piano player who achieved something. But if you get a touchdown, and that's fine, I support that. But when are we going to get articles written about my piano player who's playing on a professional level at 16 years of age without a piano teacher?
You're preaching to the choir here on that. But this funding that you're asking for is just for the support for these series that you use?
Yes, so
fund
this
the
is going to be
orchestra,
a
correct?
very focused financial matter. The series will be self-sustaining, and then from that I hope to build another, but we had solid subscriptions at the Cultural Center, and so I think it's just a matter of letting those people know where we are. The reason I'm asking for this is because if I don't have 5 concerts solidified,
Program.
then, you know, it could be a false start, and so I'm just hoping to get, if we get around 100 of our subscribers, we're set, because then we're going in perpetuity. The Pickford is getting paid for there, and we're bringing money in to kind of start funding the youth orchestra. And then, as I said, with all this, it just makes it easier to do these other projects. And then I don't have to come back and ask for money for the Mexican play, because I can go to some other sources and go, well, now that we have this chamber music going, I have a subscription base, and they love the idea of doing El Gesticulador. I mean, it's an amazing play about the Mexican Revolution. It's just, I think it's, we're also playing with the children speaking in English and the parents speaking in Spanish, which I think would just add a whole nother level.
I think it's great that you're doing that with, you know, like 60% of Cat City's population is Spanish. So I think it's great where you're doing. I think it's great that you're bringing it here. A question for me is, where are you going to advertise this?
We're going to
How are you going to bring awareness?
We have our street sign. I think if we get funding from you, we do get some screen time. We're working with the CV rep. I'm talking to all the other theaters. I don't want to say anything. This is just something we're offering. We're looking to bring all ticketing together at the Pickford. So that would be a central ticketing point for everyone. They are manned 7 days a week, all day. CV rep isn't. Revolution Theater isn't. Cultural Center isn't. So if we can kind of start to focus all of our theater offerings, everyone wins. It's like what Broadway does. And that's where we would go. Otherwise, we're running Instagram and Facebook ads regularly. I hand out flyers on the street fairs Thursday night and Saturday in Palm Desert. So it's a mixture of in-person, online, and with this specific project, there is a kind of an audience to it. So once we get some classical music fans, they tend to know others, and we get to our minimums, and this kind of build a subscription.
And then also your prices are 42, 35, and 30. If a kid comes, are they still paying that price?
No, that's why we usually have a section dedicated for kids and families. We have something on YTO where you can email us and we get you tickets. If it is a student and they're interested in arts, we're getting you in.
Very
I mean,
nice.
that's the whole reason behind all this. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was asking, if you had maybe some way through your arts council, something parents could say to you, I'd like to experience this. I have this many kids, this many members of the family. If I have that information, then we could find the right date, get them, and
I have a question. So what is the youth orchestra, what's the age limit then for that?
we're high school right now, so we're 13 to 18.
13 to 18?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how are you recruiting? Are you recruiting with the Cathedral City or Palm Springs School?
Yes, we go directly, we talk to the music teachers, we do ads, and we just kind of work every angle we can. Most traction is with online. For kids, it's Instagram. For the parents, it's Facebook. But other than that, it's mostly word of mouth. When people come and see our kids perform, then all of a sudden I get a couple emails from other parents who go, oh, I heard about this. So,
Well, this all sounds very exciting. As you know, this is, what we try to promote within our city, because it's not just a sculpture or a mural somewhere, it's the performing arts also. So it'll be a great addition, but I can say that your request is a little more money than we're used to giving out. We are somewhat, I'm sure you have been told how we're funded. We're funded through development fees, and we never know exactly how much money we're going to have. And even if we would say, okay, then it needs to go through city council.
Absolutely.
We're just an advisory board
Sure.
to them. But it sounds great, and yes, we were ready, sight unseen, to support you with your first request, even though we had some concerns, but we did not know anything about it. But it sounded, anything we can do to help the youth, anything that we can make the art live in Cathedral City, we're here for. But I think one of our concerns would be the amount of money
Sure.
that you are requesting. Have you went to other venues or any other type of councils or funding sources to try to promote yourself?
we were funded at the Palm Springs Cultural Center through fundraising I had done. Because I'm not employed at the Pickford, it's a little harder to raise for something like this. As a youth orchestra, people get mixed up with the message. We are doing this in Staten Island, where I have my other youth orchestra where I'm from, and that is being funded by the Staten Island Borough President's Office. The reason I ask for the city council is, especially being a Latin teacher, I take a little bit more of a Roman approach to this. A city needs to invest in its own arts, and it needs to invest in its own development. If this was a 5-part series and then I wasn't coming back, I would expect you to vote no. But this could be perpetuity. This could be for the next 10 years. There are videos online if you want to watch actually what we did at the Cultural Center. So, and it's not, on spec. It was running, and if I didn't stop it, we'd still be running. So I'm just rebranding, and if you think about those statues don't leave. How many arts requests do you get for a live performance that they get to say, we don't stop playing until the subscriptions dry up? So it is bigger than I would have liked to ask for, but under $2,000 a concert, I'm not bringing musicians that are going to bring people from Orange County and bring people from other areas here, and that's what we need. And when I was at the Cultural Center, people were driving an hour because they liked the harpsichord and they saw it on Eventbrite. So I believe that it is a higher price tag, but do we want Cathedral City to be known for the OK Chamber Series, or do we want Cathedral City to be known for, I'm going to drive an hour because it's closer than LA, and then we get to hang out in Coachella Valley? That's what I'm trying to add.
Sure.
And then other restaurants and stuff may help us, but they're going to see first, oh, someone came here to eat for the string quartet.
Can you give us specifically an idea of what that actual dollar will go to? Is it for stage rental?
This is directly artist fees. If
Artist
you want
fees.
really good class. So my first concert, I do a lot of favors for people, and I called in most of my favors, as you do in the arts world. So my first concert, I'm getting below, but for people who have been doing this for 3 years, they're now asking for spec, and I can't get the trombone quartet down here. for less than that. And, you know, for 4 professionals to prepare a concert and drive down, $500 per person in the classical music world with a PhD is actually on the lower end.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if we do this and I have your support, I think we can make it a big enough of a spectacle that people go, oh, wow. And as I said, I already had the subscription, so there's a body of people I just need to activate. Our February concert is happening regardless of the vote. I'm personally guaranteeing the first concert. So the harp and clarinet is happening. So we're going. The question is, can you help me augment it? And then once I lock the subscriptions, I'd love to come back and say, we have the subscriptions, the 6th concert is happening, the 7th concert, and you'll see me in a year maybe talking about something at the amphitheater. This will still be running. So it is a higher price point, but if I ask for less, you know, if I asked for $5,000 but only did 5 concerts and that was it, is that living up to the Cathedral City standard what we want to be? Or do you want
I
a
understand
regularly
that.
running chamber series where every month, every hotel knows, go see some really good live chamber music in Cathedral City, and we start to pull that money from Palm Springs?
So your ticket sales pay for your operating expenses?
I do, again, I like the live piano. I got a piano and a harpsichord to the Pickford. So I do a lot on my end to keep the costs as low as possible. That's what I bring to the table. I mean, this can be a lot more expensive, but because they have a piano in their lobby, they're willing to work with me. So they'll take a loss on the first couple concerts.
We do have a precedent of funding events where we have paid for the talent, the artists themselves. We're in the middle of a 5-part series, a jazz concert series that we funded. But I can tell you it was a much smaller number, so.
And so, just, I want to ask so too, did you just do one season at the Cultural Center? How many did you do it in the Coachella Valley?
We started August, and then before I started my 2nd season, it was clear I wasn't going to have the space. So
Got it.
that's when I came here, and then it was August, and he said, listen, why don't we wait until season? So,
Yeah.
and then
Sure.
this was the first chance I got to kind of ask.
Sure, okay.
And just for clarification, this came through council members Ross and Gregory?
No, this was not one of the items that came through the council's community grants program. Mr. Nunzio contacted us directly.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Go ahead, Rick, sorry.
How long have you been in the Palm Springs area then?
5 years?
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything during COVID. As you can imagine, it was 3 years of trying to have youth orchestras and concerts where you couldn't, you know, everyone knows.
We didn't get much done either, so.
Well,
But at this point, we can, as staff has indicated, there's different options that we can take. We can, if somebody would like to make a motion.
yeah, I'd go ahead and make a motion. I'd like to motion that we pay the $10,000 for the first 5 orchestra concerts for the Youth Training Orchestra Organization.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. I
Do you,
appreciate it.
do you guys typically use the voting?
Hold on
Yes,
that.
okay.
Yeah, hold on.
Thank you either way.
Chair, we need to take an actual vote, so I'm going to start
Yes.
the vote.
That's right.
Bear with me.
And Mr. Cisco, I will highly recommend that when this goes to council, and it'll probably go sometime in the next month or two, and
I'll try to put it on the next meeting agenda.
Manager Ambrose will be glad to guide you through that, but make sure you're there to present yourself as well as you did to us, to the council.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'd also bring some of your students. That'd be great, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing too, just to add to it, so in terms of promotional, so if this is approved by this board and if it's approved by the council, being that it will be a sponsored event from the city through the Arts Commission, it's also something that we can also help cross-promote through our social media and everything else too, so.
Is there a transparency or something I could present to you, or how does that work? I'll figure out details.
Yeah, I mean for the council meeting or?
Oh, no, the project, I want
Oh.
you guys to see everything I'm doing, so if I come back to you in a couple of years, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, if there's any updates that you wish to provide, I'll certainly provide that out to the commissioners.
Thank you so much.
And as far as the tickets that you had offered I take that's per performance.
Per performance.
We had, before COVID, we had some guidelines in place to be able to give away complimentary tickets
That'd be
from
great.
things that we did. We have options for some of our nonprofits in the city. Students, of course, student musicians, that might be a good venue to get there, sort of like a scholarship to them. Basically, trying to find people that wouldn't normally be able to get to a performance for, the $30 to $40. But we do have venues for that, but we got to be very specific. If it's approved, we'll need to get that taken care of also. Last time we had, it was when the veteran building was being built, so we were, what it was for the CV rep, and we were going to give there were going to be tickets for retired veterans on a limited income. There was going to be some given to the senior center, and there were going to be some given to the Boys and Girls Club. And I think since this is a youth orchestra, I think the Boys and Girls Club might be a nice venue, along with the high school, of course.
Yeah, if you ever want me to do a concert, just reach out to me.
Yeah, I
and
think
I'll
so.
see what
He's
I can
also
do.
giving us 10 to 20 free seats as long as we can.
Get them filled.
And I'll help you with that. If you want me to
Yeah.
go to high schools and talk, I
Yeah,
just think
so
it's
he was
easier if I
giving us some
go on
free
behalf of the
tickets.
city.
It
All right.
just, I know that the city council is going to want to know because they did the last time and it sort of held things up. So,
Yeah.
do we have the second?
There was a second.
Yes, he just has to vote for it.
Yeah, you need to hit your.
No, it's
senior
okay.
second.
I know, you were enthralled.
If everybody would take their vote, please.
There we go.
The motion has been approved, 4-0. We thank you. Like I said, this is step one, and we'll see what goes on with step two, and we wish you well, and thank you for being here.
I think we need to do
luck.
great things together. Thank
Good
you
luck,
all.
Mr. Sisto.
Thank you.
And then I'll work with you to let you know when it's on the agenda and if I need, yeah. Thanks.
Okay, moving on. Our next agenda item, I believe, is the pooled one.
Right,
Oh,
so we're going to
yeah,
bypass
we're
the
gonna-
Wild Women request.
We're taking number 2 out, and we're moving to Commissioner Herrera's funding request for the Cathedral City High School Band Symphony Band.
Okay. Something went goofy
Are
there.
there any comments, public comments at this time?
I don't have any request to speak forms.
So this was an item brought by Commissioner Herrera, and so Commissioner, if you'd like to speak to this item and the request?
Okay, so I was given the letter that was placed in there. Hopefully you guys have read it. Yes. And so that's what I know about it. Our band from Cathedral City High School is trying to make their way to San Francisco. I want you guys to keep in mind that band is also a public arts. It is also art education. So I know at this time it was brought into my attention that in the past, funding wasn't available for transportation. But this is nonetheless a request that is being put out there, whether we do the funding or they're actually, kids are paying their way out there. I just think as a commission, we should be able to come and find a way to help our local band get from point A to point B. And if it can't be through transportation, then this commission owes it to our younger participants that are in education for, band or whatever it might be, to be able to help them out. How that is going to be, I don't know. So that's why I brought it to us. Again, if you guys read the letter, ideas, thoughts. Like I said,
My concern was we had a similar situation that got, I believe you were on the commission at that time, with the choir going to Ireland.
Correct.
And nobody could tell us at the time, Stone could not, whether that is something that fits in a very broad definition of what the arts and education 30% funding is. So we never got a real answer to that. But we did have an answer, and I don't know if this is going to be anything about a trip with a performance, because it is a performance. One of the council members wanted us to purchase some new uniforms for this band.
correct,
And we were told at that point that that would be something that did not fit.
correct, which was a wrong statement because they were trying to say because all publics can't use the band uniforms. That is not true to the code. So
Yeah, I don't know. That's just
so.
what my concern is, if we would say yes. And was one of the boys in the band, first trombone.
Well, I'm
so-
not saying to say yes to this. I'm saying to come up with an idea as to help them. Because again, there's $12,000 for transportation. They're also looking, each student at $700 to get there. So, I mean, I don't know if we want to ask maybe the band to come back in and actually give us a presentation as to how we can help them. I am just not okay with telling our local band, who is clearly doing art education, right? We all agree this is art education, learning how to play, correct? We should be able to find out to come away to actually help them. And how to do that, I'm not really sure.
What you think about the possibility of offering scholarships that would pay for each one of those individual students? We do have a precedent of that, but it was before the arts and education definition was rewritten. We used to give scholarships to the conservatory when CV Rep was still in Rancho Mirage and knowing that they're going to move into the IMAX Theater. So we did fund that, and that was for students. That was for performances that were eventually given. My concern is, since it's an out-of-town performance and it's not going to be available for the public, like I said, it's just what the council will allow us to do.
Right, but I mean, that's not it doesn't need to be, the code doesn't say it has to be in Cathedral City, and where they are going is public. They are a public band, so my whole thing is, how do we help them? And what can we come up to help them with? Because I'm tired of it coming to the commission, literally for Cathedral City High School Band, to help them, whether it be their symphonic, marching, whatever it is, and we keep turning them away. We're doing a disservice to our young kids who are actually having art education within the schools.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Do you think that we might want to ask them to come in and talk
I
this
don't
out
see
with
it,
them?
'cause I
Talk
don't
this
see
out
it.
with them? Maybe there's a way that they can help us figure out a way that we can help them?
Well, and I think I think that would be a great idea. I think, and I understand your frustration about it. And the challenge, I think, with the funding is how the funding comes in. So this is developer fees that come in that help support this. And again, I'm kind of newer into to this commission, but my understanding of this, so I did ask the city attorney to review this, and they had the same concerns about just that it being transportation and out of area, but they also recognize that there's a little bit of broadness in the language about education. So, again, ultimately, if this commission wishes to, whether it's tonight or through, further presentation, wishes to forward that to council, but I think the intent of the money is to, I think it was to the point about the band uniforms, is that the programming, if we buy a piece of public art, it's physically here in the community, so people that come into the community can enjoy it. For arts activities or arts education, I think it's the intent to have that activity available to the public, and so into the general public, for people within the community or coming to our community. I think the challenge, or the little bit of challenge that might be, is that the event is going to be out of area. It's to use this type of funding for that I anticipate that the council might have questions about that, because it seems that has happened in the past. I like the idea of, potentially a sponsorship opportunity might help. So I think if there's other ways to look at that funding that might be acceptable to the council. I think it's not that they're not willing to support it, it's just the limitations of this funding of being that the activity happens within the community and is available for the public and, to be able to participate. And it seems that the only reservations, that it doesn't have to be to the general public. I mean, if an event was geared towards students or towards adults, it doesn't matter, but having that equal access to the public, I think, has been one of the points of this funding, at least in the requests that I've seen come through and some of the history that I've been able to observe. So that is, I think, where I see the barrier with just this funding source. If the event was in the community and it was to help support, some activity that was in the community that the band was doing, I think it would be an easier ask. But those are just some of the challenges that I think you might be facing at the council with this going forward.
That's great, but I think and the band is worth coming with those challenges, because again, I think I've been on this commission for 3 years, and we've denied this band, which is is literally our city band 3 times, and that's just nonsense. Whether they're going to Ireland or whether the point is, again, the code is broad. It doesn't state anything that says it has to stay in Cathedral City, but they're here from Cathedral City. There are students who are learning arts education within this city, and we're basically telling them, no, going to these festivals is part of that education. It's exactly what he's bringing over here to the Mary Pickford, right? And they earn this to go. So, I mean, we as a commission, they deserve us to figure out how to do this for them, because I'm tired of being a commissioner up here and denying.
I understand, but what about the scholarships and maybe a public performance that we do with the band?
I was going to say the same
Yes.
thing. What if we do a performance here
Where we
so
can
that
take-
it is experienced
We
here?
can take donations, and we can let everybody know at that performance when the band does maybe 3 or 4 of their numbers, and then we can have a sort of a donation to help them with that general fund, which they can do whatever they want because that's donated money. And then we can have scholarships that we can award. We can go through the band director, and he's going to, or she, pardon me, is going to know who are the neediest kids, because there's always the kids, that really can't afford this trip. Even, when we were kids.
That's correct.
So find out who it is, and that's what we directly fund, are those scholarships. And we have a performance, and we can raise more money for them,
think it's
through
great.
donations. We just need the space. Maybe we do it at the amphitheater.
So I don't see a time frame of when this performance is supposed
Yeah,
to.
April.
Oh, it's
We have
April,
time.
okay.
We have a lot of time.
Yep. That was my thought too, is no, is
Great
exactly
minds
what you
think
said.
alike.
I know, is about to have a performance here, because that's the big question, it's there, let's do it here.
Can we do that in charge? Is that could be an issue?
No, we'd be donations.
Donations.
That's what he's saying,
Okay,
so
good.
donate.
But we can still do the scholarships.
Of course, in
Correct.
addition to that, yeah.
And
So is that
take
something-
care of that $700, I'm sorry.
No, so is that something that we can do?
Well, I think you could propose anything you'd want to do. I think the location might be, again, if you wanted to use the amphitheater, the question would be when. We're in heavy season right now, and so we would just have to work that out with communications and then just the cost of it,
Maybe the high school.
maybe?
So
I mean, that would seem to make more sense with their,
we just, like I said, my
or we
concern.
could do the library, something like that, that would be a more affordable venue to be able to highlight them.
The band now?
I don't know. All the information that I have is that one letter. Yep,
Well, Sunshine, can you reach out to the band director?
I can. I'll let
And
him.
find out what we need to know and give him some of the ideas that we've thrown around?
Well, I really think that we should bring him here, ask
That's
him to
what-
come
okay.
to the next meeting. That way we can ask the questions that
Yeah.
need to be asked.
We still need to do a 4-way front to invite him in, so.
Another idea, this is great, I support what you're talking about, but maybe he might have an idea of what are some costs that he could switch in his department that would let us pay for something that would be within the realm. And you know what I'm saying? It's kind of
Correct.
Swap it out?
yeah, swap it out, kind of thing. That might be another.
I brought up
Because that might,
scholarships because
Yeah.
we've done them before. so.
that's true, that's good.
But I think the ideal thing would be to have them here,
We could
talk
also-
about it. Let's find out how many students are there, what,
How much funding have they raised so far? What's the gap that they're trying to fill?
exactly.
And I think
We just need more details.
And I think Sunshine's point is well taken, that I think by doing that too, we'll let them know that we really want to work with them,
Yeah.
and let's figure this out.
Right, just to
Yeah,
support
let's
'em.
Figure it out, yeah.
Absolutely. We've always wanted to do that. It's just we're given the guidelines of how to do it, so we'll make our own up, so.
There you go. And
So
is
is
it-
everybody in agreement to table this until the next meeting? And hopefully we can have a representative from the high school here?
Well, I don't think we're tabling it. I think we're just going to have it brought back and then ask the band director, Matthew Howell, to come back, or how. And all his information is on the bottom end. I don't know. I think that might come from staff to have him come through.
I can do that if you don't want to. I can reach out to
That I
him
don't
and.
want to. it's either going to come from the chair or it's got to come from.
Well, generally, each of the commissioners, when they bring things forward, they're the
I'm
sponsor of
not
it.
the
so-
sponsor on this. I'm just bringing it forward. I'm not saying I'm a sponsor.
Okay. I
Well,
will
let's
take care
move
of
it
it.
forward because it sounds great, and I think Commissioner Herrera had the right idea of trying to figure out how to get something through that we haven't been able to work on in the
Thank you,
past.
Chair.
Do we need to make a motion to do that?
No,
or-
it's no
Okay.
fun.
It's just going to be continued to the next item, or the next meeting. I'll bring back, unless there's anything different provided by the band director, I'll bring the staff report back the same as it is, but if there's any updated information, I'll update the report to reflect that.
Thank you.
Great, then we move on to the next item, which I believe is an update on the Old Gays book signing.
Commissioner Travis, this is your item, so if you'd like to give the update on that.
Comments? I keep forgetting.
Oh, that's usually after the item.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
See,
Got to present the item, and then you can talk about it.
I didn't say chair.
Okay, so where we're at, we got the approval through the council, and we're moving forward. A lot of good things are happening. We had the press release go out today. Tickets will be available on Thursday. I know everybody put in for their tickets, and we'll be getting those to you after Thursday when the release comes out. It's going really well. We're having Miss Patsy will be our greeter, and that will be help promote some excitement. I think it's definitely she'll do a great job with that. And we're to the point now where we met with our chairs of the both of our commissions, and we really want to thank Commissioner Rudolph because he had so many ideas. We didn't know that he was a stage manager in a prior life, and so that was very helpful. So he got promoted that day to the volunteer stage manager. So we'll be working with the guys and getting that and getting the signatures together. I know, Craig, you had volunteered to help with the book signing aspect.
Yes, I volunteer.
Yeah.
Happily. Very happy to help. Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, and then we have community volunteers who are going to help us with usher, to escort, help people find their seats. And if you're like me, I never know where to look. And then we'll be also, Mayor Lamb will be introducing the guys, and that'll be fun. And we're having a sizzle reel, which I never knew what that was till now. Now I'm learning stuff, which is like kind of like a montage. What do you think? For the old guy, huh? A montage of the old gays.
That thankfully Alan Carvalho is going to be putting together, so that's a wonderful donated time.
So I think it's really getting it to be a good community effort of people working with this, and we're looking forward to it. So we're hoping that all of the commissioners can attend, and if you're interested in volunteering, let us know.
How many volunteers do you need still?
We need a little. 10 would do it, but if we have more, we can have some things for them to do. So.
How many do you have already committed, and what else do you need?
Okay. Well, we have. Okay.
I think you have about 5.
5.
Sue said she worked the front.
Yeah, Sue, Terry, you, Craig, a friend of mine, he's going to help us. Miss Patsy, yeah, and so so I think we need about 6, 7 more. Yeah.
So if you're interested, let you know that you are able and willing.
Commissioner Antonio, do you have anything you need to add to what?
That's completely covered.
Yeah. I can also add that communications has been really working very closely with the commissioners and the publishing house, as well as the Old Gays producer, to make sure that that this event is as great as we hope it will be. So they've been really working with the commission to add their expertise, just like you were saying, to help make sure that this is going to be a really stellar event. So it looks like everything is on track and going strong, and I'm sure it's going to sell out in like 10 minutes. So I think they've been doing a lot of promotional hype, I think, through their own website and Facebook pages and things like that. So, yeah, I'm not on TikTok.
Go on sale
so.
what day?
Thursday.
It's Thursday. And
November 30th.
And they're not for, they're not for sale, but
Yeah.
they're.
Right, they're the free on,
Each commissioner gets 2.
yeah.
Right, are those physical tickets, or do you come here to pick them up?
Tickets, and we'll get them to you.
If you want to get them to City Hall, we'll make sure that we get them out to everyone.
And I just want to add too, saw them, 3 of the 4 were at Gay Pride. And
Yeah.
I was just stood back and watched. I don't know if anybody, they were there and just watching people come up to them. And a lot of younger people were like the ones that were kind of swarming around. I'm getting their pictures taken, and it just made me smile, it made me happy, and I went up and said hello, and they were very gracious. And they're just sweethearts, you know? So, yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think they're great ambassadors for the city.
We saw them from the parade float, and we saw them when we were in the parade and saw them, and Ryan ran over and somebody got pictures with them, but
Yeah. So,
I think it's something that everybody's looking forward to, so thank you both commissioners for your hard work. We do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments on that? No? Then we move to staff comments.
So a couple of updates. One, just to kind of let the commission know what's going on. So at the last council meeting, the city council made some sort of big budget shifts because we had to account for the $6 million that we had to expend due to the Tropical Storm Hillary. And so mainly what that impacted was some of our capital projects that we have either delayed or found other funding sources so that it wasn't general fund funded and moving forward. The other thing that, one of the other categories was the things that were identified in the strategic plan or staff identified that were going to be things that we're going to have to delay. And one of the things that kind of was on the list that affects this commission is we were planning to contract for, somebody to come in and help us really do like a full study of kind of the monument signs and things like that to complement what you were doing. That paying for that study is kind of off the table for right now just because of the budgetary things. And there were a few other study type things that were delayed. I don't know that that's going to delay any of the work that you're currently doing with Councilmember Ross because she does still have some district funds available that if she wishes to use for this purpose. But to be part of like kind of the overall effort that the city was planning to do, that's just going to probably not be budgeted for this year or next. So that piece of it's delayed. But I think still the work that you are doing with Councilmember Ross is going to help inform that. And like I said, there might be some projects that you're identifying that might be things that will be able to be funded from her district funds. So we'll see what's happening. But that was one of the items that I just wanted to kind of bring to your attention, just in case you heard that or saw that. I wanted to have that discussion with you. Sorry, my voice has been a little crazy today. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is future special events. So one of the things, and I've been talking with communications, that we're finding is that because of the activity of our great commissioners and being active in putting events together, also a lot of community-run special events at our facilities, that we're seeing more of an uptick in new organizations that are coming to work with us and do events at our city facilities, that we're finding the need to kind of take a step back and need to be able to work with the commissioners more in advance and sometimes with the organizations more in advance so that we can best support the organizations. Because if it's something that's a commission-supported or sponsored event, ultimately it's a city event. And so we want to make sure that we're able to do that in the best way, that for the commissioners that you have everything that you need, but also that we can be mindful of what are the direct costs that are involved in these events. Because sometimes we, because we have professionals that do events all the time, they might know things that, kind of our community volunteers aren't aware of. So we're going to be probably implementing, Ryan's working on updating our special event and special use permit process. But one of the things that we're going to ask of the commissions too in the future is that if there's an event that you want to propose or something else that's coming up, that we're going to have to run it through communications first, because they're really the department that becomes impacted the most with special events. So communications, sometimes our facilities department or public works department, just depending on where an event might be, so that we can kind of have you sit down with Ryan and now Christina, who's our new special events coordinator, who is hitting the ground, just running the first couple of weeks. She's an amazing addition to our team, and helping make sure that we understand the scope of the event. We can look at proposed events in light of what our city calendar is, and make sure that if there's something coming up that we can fully support it, and also help identify like the true costs of it, because sometimes There's other direct costs that are being asked for out of the departments or needed out of the departments, and we just want to make sure that if there is a proposal to either of the boards for support and funding or support and staff, that we can understand the true nature of that. So just, I think and I think it's a really good problem to have, that we're having more events, more community-sponsored events, more commission-sponsored events, and we just want to make sure that anything that we do is done in the best way possible. And so we want to make sure that we're maximizing our city resources, our staff talent, along with our community talent to make this happen. So there'll be more to come on that, but just if there's any ideas or other events that, you think about and are proposing or want to propose that might be at a city facility or need that support, let's talk about that, and let's try to get with Ryan first so that we can sit down and really kind of help vet out what you want to do, how we can best support it, and what those costs might be. Because whether it be a cost for law enforcement, or there's other costs from communications, or like direct costs that they would need to take out of their budget, we're just trying to identify that a little bit better, because there was a recent event that we had with an outside group that there were a lot of things like day of that were like direct big costs that we had to take on, and we're just trying to be more professional, because organizations are bringing more sophisticated things to us, and it's great because there's more opportunities for the community, but we have a really tiny event staff, and so we want to make sure that we can best support the efforts. So we'll have more kind of specific direction about that, but just wanted to communicate that. I know that John gave a presentation at the PAC Commission recently about that too, but again, like I said, great problem to have, because we have amazing community bringing forth amazing events, and we just want to make sure that we can best support it. So aside from that, that's the only other thing that I have on the agenda. We'll bring back the Wild Women, and then in the next meeting, there's another item that was one of the ones that came through the commission, or the council's community events, or the community grant program, and that's a physical art request. And so those two items will come back for the next meeting, along with the high school, if they're available. And then that'll be it for the year.
Great. Now we move on to staff comments. Oh, pardon me, we did staff comments.
That was me.
Move on to commissioner comments. See, I'm trying not to use my glasses.
See, too late at night last night at the
Yes,
senior
it
center
was a
thing.
wonderful event. Rick, do you have any comments?
Sure, thank you. In the last month, I've been pretty active working on the Old Gays event, but also I had the privilege of working and volunteering at the Halloween dog contest, which was pretty amazing. I think Antonio was expecting 25 small, 25 big dogs, and we had 149. Those dogs were so excited. I guess because the dog park had been closed, they were so cute. They were just running around.
They'd missed their park.
Yeah, they're sniffer. Yeah, they're making their territory.
I was just glad not to have to be a judge, because I couldn't imagine having to judge the winner.
Yeah, Nancy and I think Ernesto did that.
Charlie.
Then the next day was the Spooktacular, which was like pretty amazing, and so for me that was my first one, but it was just amazing to see the kids and the whole community getting together. That's a great event. I also we had the senior art show through the senior center, and I'm happy to report that we had each artist had 3 pieces, 2 that were representing themselves, and 1 donated, and my donated 1 sold, so that helped.
Do you know how much was raised for the senior center from that event?
I don't know. I haven't heard as of yet, but I can find out. It's fine. And the other thing, I was contacted after the art show by the Museum of Modern Wonders, and Alberto and Joe. I think they are the 2 gentlemen and they invited me over, and I went over and toured it. And it's funny because when I first moved here, I saw that, and I just was busy moving, and I didn't know anything about it, so I don't know. I didn't know what to expect out of that. And what I was happy to see was there's a lot of interesting things there. I think they're just starting out, kind of, and they had the pandemic that kind of held them back a little bit. And I know that we recently, the city, that wasn't us, but the city gave them a $5,000 grant to.
That was one of the awardees that received funding through the grant program.
Yeah, and so, which would be free to any Cathedral City resident or school for November 1st till, I think, June, yeah.
Something like that.
But
yeah.
not June, maybe April, would be 6 months or something like that, yeah. And so I think that I'm assuming I asked today the new Christina, because we have two Christinas.
Yeah.
And the new Christina, if Ryan will be advertising that so people can take advantage of that, I hope so. That would be good. But it's interesting. I don't know if you've never been there, you might want to check it out. It's free, that's for sure. Yeah. And at this time, okay. Then also on December 2nd, the 5th series of the jazz series at the Senior Center will be taking place at the Senior Center, and the last one was pretty awesome. So I'm looking forward to checking it out again. So. You do need to contact them and let them know that you're interested because there's limited space because it's
So popular.
yeah, it's very popular. The other thing that I was wanting to ask, bringing up is I know that we have the Dream Homes Park coming up, and we need to start working on something for that park, right? But
There is a planned art piece, or we have an opportunity to put an art piece in the entryway. And I think there's been a task force or a subcommittee that's
I don't know.
chosen. No? Oh, okay. So we need a subcommittee.
When I went to the PACE and got to sit in on that one when I was presenting there, I got to hear what they were talking about, and I know that Mario, who's on the PACE committee, is from Dream Homes, and he's working with them on naming the park. And I think they might be, maybe those are people that we need to talk to find out, like, what do you think, what is it that you like? What kind of art are you thinking about?
And I think that's a really important conversation. What I've heard from staff throughout is, throughout this process, that they've had really strong activism in the neighborhood for the park. I think previously there had been a planned piece from another, was it the Birds or something else that, yeah, but there was a very strong pushback from the community that they felt that was just kind of being shoved upon them and not, that they were getting like sloppy seconds versus that, here's this brand new park and that we have this opportunity to create something really special for them and that the art piece should also be reflective of that. So I definitely think that the group working on the naming and the community members that they're getting together would be a great committee to work with too, as they're identifying the new identity for that park and the name, that what would be, what would the public art piece, yeah.
I think, and somebody's going to have to help me with Spanish, but what is Spanish in hope? What does hope mean in Spanish? What word is it?
Not sure.
Esperanza.
Esperanza. I think they're kind of, Mario was talking to me at the dog. You learn a lot at the dog park. At the dog park, and he said that seems to be a popular one that they're coming up with right now. So I don't know. They haven't decided totally, but so it'll be interesting. Like if it's hope, what does that mean?
Yeah, and I think for that neighborhood, that I think Dream Homes Park in this community has just had, I think, devolved into kind of negative connotation of being, like an unsafe neighborhood or being a rough neighborhood. And there's really a lot of positive happening in that neighborhood. And there's some really good community organizing going on in there. And the park is certainly going to be, it's the largest city park, and it's going to be a beautiful asset for that community. And so there's been really wonderful outreach and participation to ensure that that's going to be a great asset there. But I think that community group is going to be very essential in helping select and come up with a process to select, what kind of art or what type of meaning that they would like to see in that neighborhood that reflects them.
Do we need to get somebody to go with that committee or something?
So I can bring an item back to a discussion item to select a subcommittee to work on that and come up with a process to, help with that outreach and engagement and see where it goes.
Yeah, I just want them to feel really listened to,
And ultimately, Ann, right, we don't need subcommittees. One person can just go? Or all can just go if they're having a meeting?
one person, so for a subcommittee, like to come up with the process to do that engagement or help, the selection process for the art.
No, usually there's an ad hoc committee, but you brought it to my attention that we don't need ad hoc committees. Like one person can just go, right?
Well, if as a body, you decide that there's one person that wants to work on it and nobody else wants to, that yes, you can do that. Typically, for the larger projects, it's been a process of two, but if it doesn't have to be if one person wants to lead that. But that would be the subcommittee. It could be one person if only one person wants to work on it and take on that responsibility, or it could be two, but just can't be more than that so that it doesn't violate the Brown Act. So, but I'll bring that item back for the board to consider.
Commissioner Herrera?
Yes, I would like to bring up that the International Balloon Festival is going to be this weekend, November 17th through the 19th. I'll also like to bring up that we have North Pole Village, that's on December 9th. That's going to be on Saturday 1 through 8, and I hear they have snow this year, which is going to be great. Fields of Valor was a success for the city. That was great. We had a lot of volunteers. I want to thank them for coming out. And that's all I have. Chair.
Greg?
Yes. Yeah, I'm thrilled actually about the Balloon Fiesta too. Having lived in Santa Fe for many years and with the Albuquerque Balloon Festival, I love that we're, attempting to do that. And it's something that it does bring a lot of interest from like all over.
Yeah. And I think we're going to miss the atmospheric river for the key days of it, so that'll be a good thing.
I know, and the tricky part is, I know I was watching the weather, because it brings up my next one. As you all know, I'm a huge fan of like art festivals and art things, and so the La Quinta Arts Festival, since Cathedral City doesn't have one, but one of the best ones I feel is in the Valley, is coming up this weekend too. And I said, of course, this is the weekend when, again, rain decides to come and like taunt us. So between the Balloon Festival, yeah, balloons are very sensitive to weather and rain, they don't like it. So yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Commissioner Crystal and I, we're gonna go to Ocotillo Park and do some community outreach, and now I'm just watching the weather too for that same reason about that morning on Saturday that morning. The other thing I did that was really fun to go experience or witness in the city of Palm Springs, they did an amateur lip sync contest, and they took city officials. They had the fire chief, people from the Palm Springs School District, from the other school districts, and I'm just trying to think, somebody from the Mizell Center, and there were like 9 different acts, and truly amazing. And the 2 teachers that won from the Palm Springs were just brought down the house. So given that we want to do this amateur show, it was great to see the participation. It was great to see the enthusiasm and the support of the crowd. And it just goes, that I say with the youth orchestra, I think there is a need definitely for more community and cultural events, and that things can participate. And I love that he said about the youth orchestra, about bringing professional people, but watching amateurs and our own community get up there and not be afraid to get up there. That was just, it was great. Like I said, they had a great turnout, and it was really exciting to watch. I also went to the Cathedral City, the Senior Center's show, and I thought it was an incredible job. What I was also thrilled to see is all of the other galleries open. And if you guys haven't been there recently, the quality of the artwork there, and I talked to a lot of the gallery, the owners and the artists, and again, talking about the Ocotillo project, every one of them is in. Every one of them wants to do it, so we're going to have to come with now. I was a little bit vague about the dollar amount because we haven't, we're still working on the budget for that or within that budget, but everybody's interested, everybody's excited, and so I think that's going to be easy, 22 benches, and just say I've already got like 5 or 6 artists already like on board, so I feel really positive about that.
So Commissioner, since we haven't approved we have kind of a budget for that, but we haven't brought it to council, whenever you're ready to, finalize what that budgeted amount is.
Does it need to be done here? Do we need to vote on it, or since we already have one? I know it's that 13,000 something.
But as I understand, that hasn't gone to council for approval, correct? It's just been a budgeted amount here. So when you're ready to define, so if it's that 13,000, if it's something different, we will still have to take that item to the council to approve for that expenditure.
That would be at the next meeting. We'd have to vote on it as an agenda item. Okay, gotcha.
And you might want to check on that. I think that did go through council.
Okay. I'll check.
If you could, thank you.
Yep. Anyway, but so I'm just, that there's a lot of support from all these, like the talented artists. And again, but
Yeah.
we want the range of the community, from students to like everybody. So, but I'm happy to see that they're all on board, that we're there watching them, and they know now that they have our support. And anyway, it's just exciting to see that art scene that grow and the level of it, and they're all banding together. And I keep suggesting they really do need to form like some sort of association to really pool their resources. They're asking us for support, but there's things that we can't do. That's something that they can do for themselves. And so I'm watching that. And then also watching Anne do the Open Desert Studio Tours. They're doing a phenomenal job now of promoting it. And if you guys are on Facebook, they keep showcasing, which is, I think was brilliant, each artist. They're doing this thing now, so you see the artist, the art, the backstory, that. So then you get a plot of who these artists are, and then you plan your map, because there's a lot, and they're all over the valley. But like for me particularly, you can't go to like 100, it's really challenging. So, but if you can see them and see the work and see what they're doing, and I just like this feeling in the valley, though, like I said, that the art scene is really becoming stronger, because I've always felt that was one of the elements that was kind of missing here. So it's just really exciting for me to see that. So I'm happy that we can do this, and anything more events, and I'm hoping in the near future that we will be able to do, I want to do like an outdoor art event in the city. That's what's got to be next, because most of the other cities in the valley, we need to do one. So that's all for now.
Great. Thank you. I'd be short. I just want to let everybody know, if you haven't seen it yet, go to see the Fantastics at the Coachella Valley Repertory Theater. It's an outstanding production. It's sold out in its original run, which never has happened at that theater before, and they've been able to add 3 weeks performances.
Wow.
So there was a 3-week window in between before the next production starts. So there are tickets available. It's really nice. It was wonderful to see, it was written and first done in 1960, and it was wonderful to see a soft, kind, thoughtful musical. There was nothing big about it. Nobody belted. It was just wonderful to see something that was somewhat introspective and quiet on stage, and really well done. So we are blessed, and I've said this many times before, to have this theater right next to us in the city. They are doing incredible work, so make sure that everybody supports them. Okay, the next item is future agenda items. We've already hit on a couple that we did here, so that's for future meetings. The commissioner comments, that's fine if you want to talk about things, but remember that we do have this new entry here that we can talk about things. I just want to bring up some things that we've talked about, and I do want to get them on the agenda. The Ocotillo bench painting project, we've talked about it, let's bring it here. Let's get some solid ideas of what it is we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Also, I was cornered by Mayor Lamb last night, and she is very interested in the civic art walk that she wants to do for the 5th graders, maybe expanding it to some other children too. So whoever was working on that, let's get on top of that, so we can get that done for the spring also. And I continue to work on the talent show. I'm waiting for some numbers from the events section, and I'm also...
Talk to them after next week. They'll be back up for air.
So I knew you were talking to me when you were saying that. But I do want to keep moving forward on that. So those are the 3 that I am just reiterating at this point and bringing back up so we can get them moving and on the agendas. Anybody else have anything?
Yes, at some point, and I'd like to put on there what the difference between a sponsor and ad hoc committee is. I would like to narrow that down, when we need each one of them and how those 2 things work.
I think they're just the same thing, really.
No, they're not. They're 2 different things, because 2 sponsors can be sponsors of something else. And I was under the impression that ad hoc committees work with the different commissions. And I was also, when I came on board, I was also under the impression that each thing we do have 2 sponsors. Because even when commissioners in the past stepped down, we always filled that other sponsor's seat. So I would just like to break that down and clarify that, and I think that needs to come to a meeting so we can agree as a board as to how that's going to work, right?
Okay.
I think it's different than the actual parks, where the parks, they pick out who their liaisons are in the beginning. We don't seem to do that. We seem to, or at least I was under the assumption that we pick them per thing that comes up, project that comes up. I would just like to be able to clarify that. Also, at some point, when I came on as a commissioner, we had social media binders as to how we were going to deal with not going publicly against other commissioners. So I don't know if that's still a thing. Going on Facebook, let's say if there's an opinion piece written, if another commissioner can go badmouth another commissioner, I think there's something when we first got on that we talked about that wasn't to happen. So I would like that to be brought up and to figure out what is that, how does it happen, and how is that broken? So if that can come up in a meeting, that'd be great. Thank you.
Anything for you, Craig, agenda-wise? Rick? Okay, great. Then I would like to adjourn this meeting at 6:10 for the meeting today. This is the Public Arts Council November meeting, and thank you very much.
Good night.
Whatever was supposed to say.
You